Hello, good afternoon. This is Dr. James Polito, and this is going to be the introduction to research. Now, my audience is going to be a combination of business students and students in the College of Education. So, if you look at some of the materials and it has business, and some of the materials are more geared toward education, it's all right. The basic concepts are the same and they overlap. Okay, so it's all research. These research points address both disciplines very well. So if you look at the screen, this is in your book, chapter one. I want to discuss these different ideas and worldviews of investigation. Before I go into it, the basic difference that we're going to go into this week is going to be qualitative and quantitative research. Quantitative, with the T in the middle somewhere, has to do with numbers, and qualitative doesn't. Okay, it's as simple as that. A great many people, when they go into research, they don't want to do anything to do with math, and they only want to do something that doesn't involve math. In other words, in this case, will be qualitative. Keep your mind open. In my modest opinion, the best research is one that has a combination of both. Okay, so let me give you an example. Like, you want to see, you want to count how many people eat candy. All right, and you're doing this as a quantitative study, and you count how many pieces of candy they buy, and and how much they pay for it, and where they buy it, and those are all things that you can quantify. You can assign a number for all these things, right? You can look at the population density of a certain city, and how much, is there a relationship between that density of the population and how many pieces of candy they buy. You can quantify it all you want, and that's fine. But there's also the side of it that's qualitative, where you want to ask people, why do you like it? Or describe the feeling, or the taste, and does it bring back memories of of when you were a child, or how does it make you feel? Those are more qualitative, um, research, and the questions are very open-ended. So instead of giving them a multiple choice or a Likert scale of 1 to 10 or on anything, it's very open-ended. Tell me how you feel about this, and then typically it's followed up with another question for to explore it more. So it makes me feel happy. Oh, can you tell me more about what it means to be happy when you eat this candy, and you follow a thread. Sometimes the subjects will lead you in a certain direction. And quantitative is just black and white. How many do you eat a day? 5. Well, perfect. And then you can do averages and modes and means and all that, and you can do statistical analysis on it. But one seems to beg the assistance of the other, in my opinion. A nice balanced research has both. Now, before I go any further, the purpose of this course isn't for you to write your entire dissertation. So the final research paper is not going to be your dissertation. It's a writing exercise where the concepts that we're discussing here, I want to see them in the paper, and that's how I'm going to grade you. Please don't go overboard on it. The first week, I ask you to do a very modest literature review. I think I asked for 5 references, and build a reference sheet, and then a reference section for your paper. And the first thing we're going to do this week is find a topic. I will be the first thing I grade is going to be your literature review, and you can follow the syllabus. But my deal that I make with you guys is that even if I give you a less than perfect grade along the way, if you can improve on all those items that I downgrade throughout the term and bring up your grade by the end of the semester or the term, I'll give you the better grade. In other words, the first time you submit the literature review, I may say, out of a score of 10, I'll give you 8, or whatever according to the rubric. Now, but I'll give you suggestions as to how to improve it, and we can talk about it, throughout the course. And at the end of the term, the literature review reflects the improvements that I requested, then I'll give you full credit. Okay, both for the final product and for the first time that I graded the literature review. So it's all about growth. It's all about understanding. It's not about me counting every point and giving you a lower grade than you think you deserve. If you learn the material, I'll give you the grade that you deserve, and the final product is what I'm going to be concentrating on. So sign in every week, participate in the discussions, turn in your work. And if I give you a less than perfect grade on any of the work, I'll always give you the opportunity to look at my feedback and send it back, and I'll give you full credit. I won't dock you for it. Okay, so look at your screen. We're going to be looking at four world views for research. Okay, so the upper left, post-positivism. That's just another word of saying, we're going to measure, we're going to count, we're going to, do very empirical observations, which is measuring and counting, and reducing everything to numbers. Okay, and constructivism is the understanding, multiple participant meetings, social historical construction, theoretical theory generation. This one is more qualitative. Where you go into the field and you get a feel for what's going on, and you're talking to people and you're asking what their motives are and things like that. Okay. Transformative in this worldview is you're being more than just a researcher. You really want an end, to the research. You want to affect a certain change in society. You want people to look at things in a certain way, and lead them in a certain way. Okay. And pragmatism, as the word implies, is just a pragmatic, balance. In how you and how you apply the problem. It seems to be like, problem centered. When you look at the problem and you try to find a solution, you're not looking at any political agenda, and you're not just being open-minded to see, oh well, let's see where these butterflies take me, and you're not just counting numbers. You're looking at an issue that you want to address, and you want to solve a problem, and there might be an actionable program at the end of your dissertation where people apply what your research is. It might affect address a certain problem in the community. Okay, so let me get rid of this guy and put in another one. And again, this is from your book. Now, for the week, there are two assignments, two presentations that I'd like you to look at. The two PowerPoints. The first several, I think, slides deal with education. It'll say how about educational research and things like that. So for those of you who are in education, fine. Those of you who are in business, don't worry. The concepts still apply. Okay, the concepts in research still apply. All right, so let's look at this one. It's from your book. Okay. So this will give you an idea of which one you might want to use for your dissertation. For the purpose of this paper, again, the purpose for you to understand one over the other. So I would strongly recommend that you use a combination or a mixed methodology. It's up to you. But with a mixed methodology, it shows me that you considered qualitative, you considered quantitative, and you saw the benefit of each. And in the paper that you wrote, you have both, and you can show me how they support each other, or we can call that triangulation, because the qualitative might lead you in a direction, say, yeah, they really like this candy, they're all saying it's really wonderful, it gives me good feelings, but the quantitative says nobody's buying it, so there's something wrong here. They're saying that it's wonderful, it's great, it makes them dream, and but look at the numbers. They're not buying this candy. What's going on, and then you try to figure out why there's a difference. And when it complements each other, that's great. Your qualitative part says, oh, it's wonderful. It reminds of your childhood, and it's wonderful, and it's something to share with your girlfriend. And I really like buying it. And then the data says, wow, this is really a #1 selling candy, and now I see why. All right. Based on the qualitative part. So again, I'm a favor of doing a combination of qualitative and quantitative. For your paper, I'm suggesting that you do both. If you just want to make it quantitative, you just want to make it qualitative, that's fine. I'll give you that freedom. Okay, so let's look at some of these, okay? This one. Use these philosophical assumptions for each qualitative, quantitative, and mixed. Okay, in qualitative, it's constructivism, transformative knowledge, phenomenology, grounded theory, ethnography, case study, and narrative. So, a phenomenology is when you study a phenomenon. In theory, you can. It's only qualitative when you do a phenomenology. Let's say everybody suffered the same thing, like right now. I mean, what we're doing now with the coronavirus, it's a phenomenon. Okay, and any research that goes around trying to figure out why people, react in a certain way and such, given a shared phenomenon, a shared experience, that would be a phenomenology. Okay, ethnography is when you study a group of people, and a case study is when you study like one individual, when you want to follow one individual's experiences, say in Europe or whatever. That would be more of a case study. Okay, so that's qualitative. Quantitative, post-positivism, knowledge claims, surveys and experiments. We've all taken these, when we do it, on a scale of 1 to 5, and surveys, and how would you rate this and how would you rate that? And then a mixed method approach would be, it's pragmatic, it's balanced, and it can be conformative. Okay, in qualitative, they tend to have open-ended questions, emerging approaches, text or image data. Emerging approaches. So again, open-ended questions like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? You don't bracket their answers into just a few answers. Answer choices. So they can start talking, and then you prompt them and you prod them a little bit into giving more answers. And it also has the benefit of opening up other doors. So just when you thought you kind of knew what the subject is about, as you're interviewing your subjects, other data comes to bear, and you're going, wow, I didn't know that was an element here. And then as a researcher, you go, when I did my literature review, this never even came up, and my subjects are bringing this up. So I need to follow that thread. So certain themes emerge. Okay, and in quantitative, it's closed-ended. You don't want them to talk forever. Which of these do you prefer? Scale them. Can you rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and such? Okay. All right, let's see. So for quantitative, you would use tests. You would identify the variable. Then we're going to go into hypotheses and validity and reliability. And we'll go into that in more detail later. So we're looking at the quantitative bar down here, the last box. One way that I can tell research is quantitative is when I go to the research questions, they have like alternative and null hypotheses. And these hypotheses, these hypotheses are around statistical analysis. So the research question will be something like, is there a difference between this candy and that candy? And that research question could apply to both qualitative and quantitative. But the quantitative wants to know specifically how much and how significant is that number. So when I see a quantitative research piece, I look down to the research question, and then I look down to the null and alternative hypotheses. The alternative hypothesis might mean there is a statistically significant difference between the number of these candies consumed compared to those candies consumed. And then in the paper, there's a statistical analysis that's applied to the data to determine if there's a numeric significance between the two. Okay, so over here in qualitative, you also have a research question, but it doesn't pin you down to math. So it would be, instead of just saying, is there a difference between the two candies that are consumed, it would be, is there a difference, and why? Why do people prefer one over the other? So, you can say, yeah, without doing statistical analysis, 6 people out of 10 prefer this candy and 4 people out of 10 prefer that candy. And the thrust of this research is to try to figure out why. Is it the color? Is it the texture? Blah, 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 blah. And, but describe it to me. So instead of saying, do you like the texture? Yes or no. Open-ended would be, what do you like about it? And then what comes out in interpreting these are themes. So when analyzing the data from a qualitative design, you're going to look at themes. So you're literally going to count how many times somebody says, I like the color. You're going to literally count the number of times that they say it's smooth, or it has a tangy. Now, when I say count, you immediately think, but that's quantitative. Not necessarily. You have to identify what a theme is when you're doing qualitative data. So for your paper, you can say, for the purpose of my research paper, a theme will be, if the same answer is given 20 times among my subjects, that will constitute a theme. So when you look through the data and you listen to the recordings, you can say, texture, flavor, these are all themes. And so, you can deduce at the very end of it, you can conclude that the reason they prefer this over the other is maybe taste or texture. And but again, I'm very partial to doing both qualitative and quantitative for each of those. So go ahead and look at the PowerPoint, read the chapter, and by the end of this week, I want to read your discussions, and I want to see what you chose for your topics. Now, as part of your homework, what I'd like you to do is with your friends this week, with your colleagues, but also with friends at home, talk about a topic. Bring up a possible topic for your dissertation. Now, for this class, again, we're not doing a dissertation. We're almost going to do a pretend project. It's not going to go anywhere. We're not going to print it. We're not going to publish it. But I gave you some examples in both of your classes for a possible topic. But as you talk to your friends, as you talk to your colleagues, or even the classmates, remember that a topic has to be researchable. What I tell people who are doing their dissertations, it gets very complicated to pin down a topic. So sit down with somebody at a park bench. I know we can't do that now. Sit down with somebody on the park bench and say, you know what, I'm doing my PhD, and do you have 2 minutes? I can tell you what my topic is. And they'll say, oh yeah, sure. If by the end of 2 minutes they don't have a clear understanding of what your topic is, you've overcomplicated it. You way overcomplicated it. So if you want to say, you know what, my topic is, I want to know if people like one sort of candy over another kind of candy, and why. I mean, that took no time at all to explain it. Okay. Another person might say, I want to know if one cough syrup is more effective over another cough syrup in suppressing coughs. And that's it. Your topic should be very easily understood. If you find yourself talking for 5 minutes and the guy on the park bench is giving you a acquisitive look, trying to figure out how to get away from you because you just keep talking, they don't really understand what you're talking about, it's way too complicated. Okay, so talk to a complete stranger, talk to a friend, say, this is my topic. They shouldn't even ask you any questions. I want to know which is faster, a Lamborghini or a Ford. That's it. I mean, there's no other questions really to ask. If your topic is very concise, as to the point, people should get it right away. So look through your materials and look through your discussion topics, and try to look at a topic. Again, one that's very focused and easy to understand. And so for the end of this week, I'd like to see a topic in your discussion. I want you to all follow up on the discussion and talk to some of your classmates. Discuss and you have to fill out a paper between qualitative and quantitative methods. And if you have any questions, please post them in the chat room or email them to me, and we'll go from there. So I will post a video lecture every Wednesday for every week. Okay, now if other questions come up, and I think the best way to answer is just make another video. That might be what I do. Okay, so I'm not sure how to send out this link for everybody. I might send it out as email tomorrow, but I'll figure that out by tomorrow morning. So by tomorrow afternoon, everybody should have access to this lecture and subsequent lectures every Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Have a good one.